I was diagnosed in 2015 when I was about 42 years old. And my wife had been saying for a while that something just wasn't quite right with me. And she suspected possibly cyclothymia. I was quite often very negative or otherwise overexcited about projects and things that I was doing. And so I spoke to somebody online, and they probably wasn't the right person to speak to. So I didn't get a diagnosis at that stage. So I continued for a while longer, and then I went traveling through to Austin, the USA. And while I was there, I did go see a psychologist, and he confirmed that it was bipolar, and he'd said that it was bipolar 2. And so it was quite a surprise for me because I thought maybe I had a slightly lesser version, if you could call that, than bipolar 2. But at the same time, it was quite a relief to kind of find out, well, that's kind of what's been going on with me for the last while. It's been several times in my life where I'd experienced extreme tiredness, and I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't really clock it as depression. And on those times when I'd been sort of hypermanic, I just thought I was excited and just felt alive again. So yeah, it was a really positive thing for me to get a diagnosis, and I was really glad that I got that. So I was living in the Bahamas at the time, and we were coming back to the UK, and I had some friends in Austin, in Texas, and they said, "Well, why don't you come and spend some time here?" So we spent 6 months in Austin, in Texas, and that's when I'd already made a decision to see somebody, but the Bahamas isn't great for mental health side of things. So I thought when I'm in the USA, I'll probably find someone who's maybe more in tune with what's going on and that kind of stuff. It's quite an interesting question because I think it's important to separate out the pure bipolar symptoms versus the comorbidities, which are the conditions that occur alongside bipolar. And I think most people that experience bipolar also have one or more what I call add-ons or additional um, uh, impairments or conditions that they have to deal with. And for instance, my add-ons would be ADD, attention deficit disorder, anger, anxiety, cognitive impairment. I have memory issues, substance and alcohol abuse. So I think sometimes to try and separate those out is quite hard. But I do my best to try and think, hold on, is this an up or a down, or is it something else? So in terms of the pure ups and downs, on the depressive side, I find it manifests often as tiredness. I just have a lack of energy. I feel sometimes a bit hopeless. I have negative thoughts, low self-esteem, definitely, lack of interest in activities and anything that's going on, or hobbies. And yeah, I don't feel sad as such. Just life feels grey, and it feels like there's not much point to anything. So and I know my depression is coming on often because my head will sort of feel a bit like I've got a big ball of cotton wool or something inside that feels very fuzzy, and I find it very hard to think. I find it hard to make decisions or to motivate myself to do anything. And I also have skin sensations where I feel sometimes my skin feels tingly, or it feels clammy, or it just feels very strange. So yeah, I think some of those things are the indicators that's maybe depression is coming on, or low mood is coming on. Um, I also find sometimes that I can't see the beauty in anything, so everything just feels a bit kind of blah and grey. Um, so sometimes I'll maybe drink more alcohol or something to that effect, just to kind of feel something, or to sort of get the head out of the negative space or something. So yeah, I do find that it's a bit of a balance sometimes to not launch into trying to remove all these feelings. And then from the age of about 28, I started feeling the hypomanic symptoms. And with those, I'll feel excited. I will start making lots more plans. I feel much more goal directed. I don't feel that much need for sleep sometimes. Sometimes only I get like 3 or 4 hours a night and I'm perfectly fine. And also, so on the depressive side, I'll sleep a lot more as well. So that's sort of conflicts with that. And then with hypomania, I have sometimes realistic plans, sometimes unrealistic plans. If I've gone sort of too high up, they're a bit gobbledygook. And I tend to get impulsive. Also, hypersexuality is a factor. And I'll often want to feel even better. So I might engage in more sort of drinking or sometimes even recreational drugs. Again, I kind of break it up into depressive and hypomanic because it's two very distinct phases that I go through. And I experience something called rapid cycling or even ultra rapid cycling, which means that I have very small periods of time between hypomania and depression. And I would go so far as to say that I spend most of my life either slightly up or slightly down. Um, so for me, it definitely has a dramatic effect. I don't have that much time where I think, right, you're 100% stable now. So I've either got to juggle feeling slightly low or slightly high. And even though I've got to a stage now where I control those very well, it definitely still has an impact on my life. So I think often I feel on the depressive side, tired or disconnected from people. And I find it hard to make plans because I just really can't see myself getting out and doing a whole lot. So I tend to make plans very short term. I don't tend to make many long term plans. Um, and that corresponds with when I'm hypomanic, as I make too many plans. So I will be booking concert tickets and I'll be making plans with my friends sort of for a couple of nights a week. And then sometimes if I'm feeling low again, I find it hard to sort of keep up those commitments. Um, Also, I'm not always maybe the same person with my friends and family that every day. Sometimes I'll be more excited about things, or other times I won't really have much to say at all. So yeah, I find that I try hard to maintain an image of stability where I do try to not let my feelings sort of show too much up or down. But yeah, it's sometimes difficult for people to suddenly see a different side of me, where the previous time I was like super excited and laughing and cracking lots of jokes, and the next time very quiet and that kind of thing. I also find that it affects my family life because my moods fluctuate. So sometimes my children don't really know which dad they're getting today. It could be angry dad, irritated dad, or it could be fun and exciting and doing lots of things. So sometimes it's hard to if they want to do things and I'm not in the mood to do anything, I feel bad because I feel like maybe I've not been the best parent I can be. So yeah, it definitely affects family and social life on a number of levels. I definitely don't want sympathy if I'm in a depressive uh, mood or low mood. Maybe more just understanding that I'm not going to be able to do all the things that I would normally be able to do. Also understanding that maybe I'm going to be more irritated than normal. That I'm going to be maybe not as energetic. And again, these days I think I've got things quite well organized, but it's sometimes helpful if I'm in a low mood for my partner to say, hey, it's don't forget to go and exercise, or maybe get to bed at a regular hour. Routines are quite important for me. So it's easy when you're kind of in a low mood to just be sitting on the couch and just watching TV, and 1 hour drones into the next. So it's helpful for somebody to say, hey, just be aware of where you are at the moment, and don't let yourself go completely. In the past, when my moods were up and down a lot, it was sometimes hard for me to realize when I was just reaching a period of almost stability, or whether I was actually in an up phase. So it was sometimes useful for my partner to say, look, you're talking a lot at the moment, or you're very excited about something, just pay attention to where you are right now. And then often I would take some time to maybe dial down those activities, or realize, hold on, I'm making plans that are unrealistic. So let's dial this down a bit, and just try to think about where you are. Um, Another thing that in both phases really is irritability, or being argumentative. And in that sort of state, it's quite useful for my partner to say, if I'm arguing with her, to say, hold on, I'm not going to engage with you right now. Let's just rather leave this for another time, because if I start getting excited, then I'll just want to argue more and more. So yeah, it's really useful for her to say, look, I'm not going to engage right now. You're obviously in the wrong mood. And then sometimes she'll also say to me, if I'm really irritated, she'll say, look, why don't you go and relax in another room? Because it just impacts on the whole family if you're in a bad mood, and maybe yelling at people and that kind of thing. So yeah, definitely support is helpful. It's difficult for me to say what other people would need, because everybody's so different. Um, but yeah, light support is always welcome. I've always found it hard to concentrate on work, and again, this might be a, a factor of ADD and bipolar combined. But I've always found it difficult to focus on anything for a long period of time. And as a result, I often moved jobs a lot when I was younger. So maybe after a couple of years, I would be um, sort of moving on to the next thing. Either I would have lost interest, or maybe I wasn't able to keep up the workload as much as I was, as much as I should have. So I often stayed at work, late, to kind of make up the hours if I felt I'd messed around a lot. So that meant I'd worked, much longer hours than I should have. Um, but yeah, I found it very, very hard to keep up an interest in things, and I could definitely feel those periods of extreme motivation where I would come up with lots of really good plans, and lots of good ideas for marketing or something to that effect. And then other periods where I just found it really, really hard to put anything in place at all. So I think it's, again, the stability issue is trying to keep things on a level where you almost the same all the time, and that's really, really difficult, I find. I work from home already, so for me, being isolated wasn't maybe as big a issue as it was for many other people. But I did use the opportunity to improve myself in a few ways. I did several courses, and I changed my diet, which had a really big impact on my mental health. And I think also it had a big impact on my personal relationships. I did find I got closer to my children during lockdown, and maybe it's because of the work I was putting into myself as well. But it was because we were so close all the time. It was actually quite positive, I think, in a lot of ways. On the other side, I think it was hard not to see friends, to have that social connection. And I find myself drinking alcohol more frequently, and I think probably even on a daily basis. And I did feel more anxious sometimes if I was going out to meet somebody, kind of just because it'd been, maybe a bit of time since I'd seen anybody. It was a bit strange. I did feel the social anxiety. And definitely when we started coming out of lockdown and we were allowed to meet up with more than, I think it was 2 or 3 people at a time, That's definitely kicked my social anxiety into high gear. And I felt before I went out, I felt really nervous and really, really anxious. But overall, I think I had a fairly positive experience from COVID. The first thing I do every day is take full responsibility for myself, including my mental health and my health in general. I don't just rely on doctors or anyone else to tell me what to do. I really take an active approach to making sure I'm doing everything that I possibly can to make myself the best that I can be. Um, so at any one time, I'm either trying to make my positive habits stronger, or trying out maybe new habits to kind of see what I can do to improve myself. And then on just on that side, I think it's really important to have a strong reason for wanting to improve yourself, because just wanting to escape bipolar isn't really enough. So for me, I do it for my family. I think if I'm not doing everything I can to improve myself, then it's my family that's going to suffer. So I I really give that some thought. If I'm needing to go out to exercise and I'm feeling lazy, and I think, well, what impact is going to have on my family if I don't get out there? And often it that kicks me into gear. So it gives me the drive to sort of get out and do something. And yeah, on the exercise front, I try to exercise 3 to 5 times a week. And I really think that helps with depression for me. It's hard to put an exact quantity on it, but I think once I got into a good exercise routine, it probably lessened my depression by 60 or 70%, I would estimate. And it was hard to get started, to motivate myself to get out there and push the boundaries of keeping fit. But once it took maybe a few months to really start feeling the differences. And once I felt the difference, the first couple of times of the depression lessening, I was like, hold on, this is something that's really good here. And again, it took me a few goes. Like sometimes I would exercise and then I wouldn't for a few weeks again, and I feel myself sinking lower down. So now I've just realized if I exercise, I feel good on the whole. If I don't exercise, I start coming down, and so it's much easier for me just to keep things going. So yeah, definitely on a daily basis is, or at least a few times a week is doing some good exercise. The other thing I practice every day is mindfulness. So mindfulness is just really bringing yourself to the present and maybe getting yourself out of your head so that you're not having negative thoughts, or that you're not getting caught up in your own self. And so every day I practice. I don't necessarily do meditation every day, but I do catch myself thinking unhelpful thoughts, and I bring myself back into the present to say, hold on, that's an unhelpful thought, so I'm going to move on from that. And mindfulness doesn't have to be difficult. A lot of people think that you need to spend half an hour meditating a day. And a very, very simple meditation that I do is just to take a few deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, just maybe 3 or 4 breaths like that. And then just stop and ask yourself, what am I thinking at the moment? How am I feeling? And just really give it some thought, and to consider what's going on in the head at the moment, or maybe even your body, if you've got anything that's aching and paining or whatever. And then just to ask yourself, is there anything I can do to change this? So if I think, oh, I'm feeling a bit low, then I might say, oh, hold on, I didn't exercise today, let me go out and exercise. So the mindfulness really ties in everything, and it really helps you become aware of where you are at any one particular time. And that's as far as it goes. So just really, 2 to 3 minutes maximum. And then at the end of it, just to say to yourself, whatever I'm feeling right now is okay. Because acceptance is really important, and it's really powerful, I think. So just accepting that, we're imperfect and other people are imperfect. So if somebody's irritating you or something, just to say, hey, hold on, they're going through some sort of journey as well. So I practice this every day, and it's an ongoing thing. It never just snaps in. You never just become your thoughts aren't always totally helpful, but the more you become aware of it, the easier it becomes to bring yourself out of a low mood, or even a high mood, because really hypomania is caused by overthinking stuff in a positive way. So if you start feeling hypomanic, you can catch yourself and then kind of bring yourself to a more stable level as well, by not engaging in any more, or as little overthinking as you can. The other thing I do every day is tied into unhelpful thoughts is cognitive behavioral therapy. So I consider what thoughts I'm having, and I consider what impacts they're having and if they're true or not. And often I find if I'm having negative thoughts, either about myself or about a situation or someone else, if I really think about it, I think, hold on, probably this is not a helpful thought. It's not even true sometimes. And that's that really gets me back on track quite often. And every day I try to practice good routines, especially bedtime routines, trying to get to bed by, for me, 11 o'clock. I found a huge difference in my thinking if I get good night's sleep. I'm a night owl completely, so it's really hard for me to get to bed early. And in fact, my most productive time is between probably 8 p.m. and about 2 or 3 a.m. So I used to really work late nights and stuff. And yes, I was really productive, but I did find that it came at the cost of my mental health. So yeah, these days I try to be in bed by 11 most nights. If it's a weekend, then I'll maybe allow myself out till later, as long as it's not, several nights in a row or something like that. The other thing I do every day is work on my diet. I researched the gut-brain connection a while ago, and that was during lockdown as well. And I discovered that inflammation really can have an impact on your mental health. So either for depression or, in my case, anger. I was getting extremely angry, and I found by changing my diet, I was able to basically the anger sort of disappeared within about 5 or 6 weeks. So I cut out all sugar, I cut out all gluten, some fats, and taking probiotics. So yeah, every day I need to work on the diet. It's hard sometimes to not just pick up a sandwich or, when you're out to go grab a pie or something. So it takes a bit of planning to get everything in order to make sure that you're eating healthily and eating the correct things. And I drink lots of water. So making sure I drink at least between 1.5 liters and 3 liters a day, just depending if it's summer or winter. And then I think lastly is, if I do experience something that's, maybe I'm not able to exercise that day, or maybe I do fall off on the diet side, is just to get back on the wagon. So just getting up one more time than I fall. So just restarting again and saying it's okay, practicing acceptance again, that it's okay that I fell off today, and tomorrow will be a better day. So yeah, just keep on dusting myself off, and looking at myself in maybe 2.5 to 5 years time and saying, hey, if I keep on doing all these things every day, how good am I going to be in 2 years, or how good am I going to be in 5 years? And then just taking these little steps every day to try and reach those goals. And it definitely has helped. I find if I look back now in the past and how hard it was to get all these things in place, now it's much easier, and I feel much more stable and much more able to deal with life in general. Bipolar has definitely played a huge role in my life, and before I even knew that I experienced depressions or hypomania, I knew that I was different, and I knew that I didn't have the same interests as other people. I found it hard to have hobbies, and I found it hard to interact with people. But definitely, I think it's helped me become more empathetic to other people, especially other people who might be experiencing something in a particular time of their lives. I feel I'm more able to relate to them, and more able to say, hey, that's okay. You're going through something, and whatever it is, hopefully at some point, you'll sort of get over it and move through. So I try to be less judgmental. And again, this is probably the last few years I've been working harder on this stuff. So it's yeah, it's definitely changed me as a person, especially the journey of investigating, ways that I could improve my condition. I think that's really, really shaped me. So I'm much more aware of my mind and body. I'm aware of the little things that might impact on my body. I try to eat healthier. I try to exercise more, and that all has a compound effect on absolutely everything. So that's been really, really useful, I'd say. And it's due to the cognitive impairment that I experience as well. I've always tried to keep things simple. So I guess you could say that's really helped shape me. Is my entire life has been based on the saying, keep it straight and simple, or KISS. So with everything that I do, I try to make it as uncomplicated as possible. And I think that's given me a different perspective in life. For instance, I deliberately set up a business 14 years ago, and kept it as absolutely basic as I could. I didn't employ anybody. I used technology that was maybe just within my grasp, that didn't tax me too much on the brain front, and that helped me sort of weather through many of the we had the financial crash of 2007, and then we've had sort of COVID and all sorts of other things, and yeah, I think that's really sort of stood me in good stead and helped me as a person to get through all these hurdles in life. Um, and I think also it's helped me realize that bipolar isn't a life sentence. It's something that we can just keep on improving, and we can live very fulfilling and happy lives. So these are kind of things I want to share with people, and it's giving me a purpose. So yeah, bipolar has definitely helped show me a different way, and given me a direction for my life. Definitely get a professional opinion, because as I've said before, bipolar can be confused with other conditions, and especially things like borderline personality disorder, ADHD, and all these kind of things. It can be difficult to isolate and to work out exactly what's going on. So yeah, definitely a professional should hopefully be able to help with time, work out what's going on. And then to try and work out the type of bipolar that you have as well. So type 1, where people experience full mania, which means they might lose touch with reality, and they may experience sometimes even audio or visual hallucinations. Or type 2, where people experience hypermania, which is faster thoughts going through the heads, rapid planning, and sort of maybe not as dramatically high as a full manic episode. So once you know which type you are, then you can maybe tailor your treatment towards solving your particular issues. And then I'd say definitely research as much as you can. There's so much information out there, and there's lots of good stuff that you can do on your own without having to you could just do at home. So, the exercise, the mindfulness, you can even do your cognitive behavioral therapy. You can practice that at home. You can get into good routines. You can get your diets sorted out. So there's all these things that you can do to really help yourself over and above the care that you're getting from your psychologist or psychiatrist or therapist or whoever you're seeing. I think it's important that we keep on learning about the human brain. I think we've just scratched the surface at the moment of how our brains tick, and I think we've got a long way to go still. So I think as the more research we do, the more we're going to expose, the more we're going to be able to learn about ourselves. And I think many professionals at the moment are still maybe using outdated methods of treatment. And the more that we can prove that other methods work, the more that we can help these professionals to move on to sort of newer methods. And it's only through research, we proved that things like mindfulness and meditation scientifically they've proven can make a huge difference and can change the actual structure and pathways in your brain. So that was all done through research, and also things like the gut-brain connection. So it's all this research that helps us understand these things, and slowly we can start putting the pieces of the puzzle together and working out much more complete plans for people to improve their mental health.